Welcome back to the show here. You know, no relationship is perfect. Conflicts are part of every relationship. There's a way, though, if you're having some trouble and working through one, maybe you should consider seeking some outside help. Here to talk about how couples therapy may work for you is David Flowers. He's a licensed professional counselor with David Flowers Couples Teletherapy based in Davison. Good morning.
Hey, morning, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting topic. I'm sure you have people's attention at home. Before we kind of get into some things people should consider before maybe going into therapy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and how long have you been doing what you do?
Grew up in Davison for the most part. Met my wife in Davison and in high school, actually, and just was interested in counseling as early as I can remember. Went through and got a grad degree in counseling. Spent 20 years in the ministry, working mostly with families and couples, and really been focusing almost exclusively on couples for the last 3 or 4 years now.
And what's that been like?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a little stressful sometimes. Gets a little tense.
Right.
But I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Why do you enjoy it so much?
Well, it's the building block of society, right? Families, couples, strong marriages, strong relationships. COVID really tested that.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I was trying to get people like, please don't make any drastic moves. You know, right now, just try and hold down the fort till we get through this a little bit.
Right. So talk about this. And what are some of the more common problems that you usually see with couples? What are some of those things that bring tension to a relationship?
Yeah. Well, 95% of couples, when they call, I say, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? And they say, we're not communicating. Right. But that can mean we're having constant fights and it's terrible. It feels awful. Or it can sometimes mean we're not even talking anymore. We've slipped kind of into like an icy silence and are barely even having conversations. So those are the two.
We're looking at video of people in happier moments when they actually get married. But talk about the moving from the honeymoon period to the more serious part of a relationship. And
has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, what should people be doing? Do they need to have conversations up front too about expectations and things like that before getting into a serious relationship or marriage?
Absolutely. I do a 6-week, pretty intensive premarital counseling thing, and it's really all about expectations. It's helping people have the kinds of conversations they're really going to need to have had, years down the road.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they don't, they'll fight.
Right. And then you mentioned getting to that point where maybe you haven't been communicating very well and you start to feel that tension. What are some of those techniques maybe viewers can do right now to maybe improve the relationship?
Yeah. Well, the first one that comes to mind sounds like such incredible common sense. What I notice when couples come in and they're struggling, they're not noticing normal things that the other person's doing that they can express appreciation for. Yeah. So a couple who's struggling, they'll say things like, are you telling me I should thank my partner for the stuff they should be doing anyway?
Oh, okay.
Right? Whereas couples who are doing well are looking for reasons to be grateful and to express that to each other. So I always say, thank your partner for all the things your partner is doing that you want them to keep doing.
Right, you gotta let them know.
Yeah, so it sounds like common sense, but a ton of couples aren't doing that, right? When you start fighting and resentment sets in and sort of general negativity, it gets really easy to just take each other for granted. Yeah. So, key to a happy marriage, really in a lot of ways, is just continuing to do a lot of things that you do when you're dating.
And then hit on this real quick, so say they've gotten to the point where they're considering talking to someone like yourself. Mm-hmm. Some people may be uneasy with that, but why should they maybe consider bringing in an outside party to kind of work things out together?
That's an excellent question. A couple of reasons to bring in somebody else. The first is because we know from research that the average couple waits about 6 years to go out and seek help, 6 years after they've started noticing a problem. And the problem with that is that the longer you wait to get help, the more time you're allowing resentment and frustration to kind of harden and deepen, and it makes it less likely we're going to be able to help.
Right.
So getting in as early as possible is really important, right? The other reason for doing that is because couples get entrenched. She's not hearing him, he's not hearing her. They're kind of talking past each other. And if they knew how to get past that, they would have already done it, right? They really need somebody who can help interpret each, one of or both partners to each other.
Yeah, their
right?
perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're actually running out of time. I know you also offer teletherapy too. There's a number on your screen where you can find out more. There's your website as well, right?
Yeah, excellent. Yep, that's it.
DavidFlowersTherapy.com. I could keep talking. Some interesting stuff here, but hey, check it out if you want to consider maybe couples counseling. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll probably have him back. I'm sure we'll get some viewer questions
Yeah, I hope so.
written in, and we'll cover part 2. All right, looking outside.